Hey, what's going on, everyone? You are now listening to Resilience in Action with Erin Brown. What's going on, everyone? This is another episode of Resilience in Action with Erin Brown. And today we have Cedric Edison as our special guest. Cedric is a phenomenal human being all the way around. I have known Cedric for it's been a little over a year. I feel like maybe a little longer.
Yeah, we might be going towards 3 on the cool.
Yeah, because when we first connected, I still lived in West Virginia, and that was in 2020. So,
yeah.
So I'm not going to butcher your bio. Go ahead and tell the people a little bit about yourself, Ced.
Well, I'm really right now where I'm at. I'm just a dude that's showing up as the dude I ain't have. That's really it. That's me. The best way I can, man. But how I ended up just being this dude, right, was, man, I lived a life of gangs, sold drugs, got kicked out the Marine Corps. He ended up having heart surgery at the age of 34, and managed to survive that, which led me to health and life coaching. And then that led me to speaking to you. And it's been an interesting, beautiful, scary, tragic journey. You know what I'm saying? But that's the condensed version of the bio, not going all into it, because you might have some questions about it. But that's me in the and what do you call it? The Cliff Note version.
The Cliff Note. I like it. That's awesome, because then I can come in and, all right, let's hit this Cliff Note. Let's hit that Cliff Note. Perfect. All right. So you said you were in the gangs and selling drugs and all that stuff. Let's say more. Let's go there. Like, when did you start? What gang, if you don't mind sharing that? Like, or if you do, that's fine.
Yeah.
You don't have to. You don't have to.
You're the first person ever asked,
really?
what gang. So, I was what they call a Shady Tree gangster. We blood affiliated. And I started. So really how that happened, man, is I saw my brother. Him and some of his friends created that particular gang in my hometown. And not having a dad, I think you automatically defer to the oldest dude in the house, which was my brother, so I idolized him. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of how that really all started. And I was around 9 when they first created it. And he really wasn't trying to let me be around. He was trying to do like, nah, man, you can't be around. He ain't really want me to be around it. But being, so his friends and their little brothers, we was our friends. So we just emulated what we saw.
Okay.
And so we was running around claiming that we hadn't really earned it to get in or whatever. And so probably around the age, I think I was 11. I did the whole jump in thing, because now my brother, he was gone to jail and all of that stuff. And around one of those times he was gone to jail, I figured, all right, this is my opportunity right here.
Okay.
And did all of that. And really how that, and this is in retrospect. In the moment, I didn't know what was going on. It was just a bunch of friends just we went from little kids playing, and then we're around, the bigger dudes. And then it was us just really hanging out, honestly. Just to us, it was fun. We hanging out, playing, not necessarily playing, we might go shoot hoops or whatever.
Yeah.
And then it was protection. Because I can remember them creating Shady Tree because it was like neighborhoods, but then other people start wearing colors and having to walk to school and do all of that. You just got tired of fighting by yourself. And so it was like you needed a group so y'all could just survive. And, and then for me, it was more one of those things. Like, I remember getting sad every last day of school because that was a surefire way for me to get food. Like, I knew I was going to eat at least 2 times a day when school was in. Summer came, I was sad, like, man,
Yeah.
worried. And so, we started selling drugs because and for me, I can't speak for everybody else, but for me, and it sounds sad, but it's the truth. I just started selling because I wanted to eat. I just wanted to eat.
Yeah. Yeah. Say more about that. Like, how was your family life like? What was that like?
Man, back then, we had a really, really tight family, but I could still remember feeling like my immediate family, my mom, my brother, and my sister, like we were the black sheep. Because I can remember going to homeless shelters, my mama being with this dude, that dude, or whatever, growing up in those. But when I would go to my cousin's house, they had an actual house. And then we lived in the projects. So that the whole family dynamic, I always felt less than. And looking at my uncles and my aunties and my cousins, like, man, y'all can afford the Michael Jackson Thriller. I better not ask my mama for that. I already know what the answer is, type of deal. So we was tight in that way, man. But, when I think about it, I was thinking about this the other day, man. I was like, yo, I really wasn't shown as a kid how to love in just any relationship because my mama was doing her thing, just trying to keep us fed, walking to work, going to 3 jobs, you know what I'm saying? So she was never really there. So the love was different. It was like, okay, love was, I let you live here, I feed you however I can. That's how I love you. But she wasn't there. So that portion of the family, it was like, again, in retrospect, it wasn't right. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. So you gravitated towards the gang to feel protected, feel a part of something. How was the love in that gang? Like, did you feel what you believe to be love in that gang?
And again, I say that, like, a lot of this is retrospective realization. You know what I'm saying? I look back and, oh man, that's really what I was looking for, was love. But in the moment, when it was all happening, it was really just, it really wasn't like a sense of like that familiar love. Like, oh man, it's my cousin. Like, man, I love you. It was just that timepiece. Like, man, I hang out with y'all every day. You my homie. Like, you my for real homie. You hanging out with these dudes every day. Time just automatically creates a strong bond. You know what I'm saying? But in that time, it wasn't like, man, I love you. When you're in the hood, you like, man, I love y'all boys. You know what I'm saying? I love the set. But it wasn't like when I think about my cousin C&Q or my sister, like that type of love.
Gotcha.
It wasn't that feeling at all.
Yeah. So, all right. So you were involved in the gangs, selling drugs. How old were you when you decided that, I guess, you needed to change your life and you signed up for the Marines? Or was that something that you had to do?
Had to do, not so much.
Okay.
So in the midst of that, like, I was always the good kid. You know what I'm saying? Meaning I was still afraid of my mama. So a lot of it, like, I ain't even gonna lie, I was hiding a bandana in my pocket to go to school. As soon as I got the door, we done bust the corner, my flag out.
Okay.
So it was like that. And I knew I couldn't go home. My mama was one of them, like, once you came home with an A or a B, you better not come home with no C's and D's. Right? I was terrified of her. So I got the good grades. And I'm sorry, I started going off a little bit. You were asking about what was the question again?
When you decided to go to the Marines,
the Marine Corps.
How did you get to that?
So so really, man, what happened, and I apologize to whoever name is Earl out there. I really do. No hard feelings. I just got some trauma around the name Earl.
Okay.
So we might have to go back a little bit. So we fast forward, and my mama taking me out of the gang environment. So she moved us to Louisiana, and I'm 13. My brother had just got sentenced to he got sentenced to 15 to 20. My mama like, you will not go down that road. We hightail it. She ended up, man, she moved down there with Earl. And we end up clashing heads, stepson. Yeah. I'm in middle school. I know I'm grown. You can't tell me nothing. I'm mad and all this stuff because we the move. But I remember him telling me I wasn't going to be nothing. And that I was going to end up like my brother. And a little bit of time had progressed to, now I'm a little bit older and I just knew it was more to life than what I was doing. Mm-hmm. I just didn't know how I was going to get there because I had never seen nobody escape it. And so I'm trying to get to schools, college, and I'm getting letters back saying my disciplinary record was messed up and I didn't know you had. I was like, man, I'm in the top. Actually, I was in the top 3%.
Oh, you had the good grades. You was just acting up.
Oh, I was stellar. I was just stellar student. Not a dummy by any means. You know what I'm saying? It was just, I would fight you in a heartbeat. Right. And so they like, nope, nope, nope. And I remember getting one from one school and saying, based on my disciplinary record, I'll be a liability. And I was like, man, that hurt.
Wow.
A liability?
Okay. That's crazy.
Yeah. But I get it. They gonna have to deal with me because I'm gonna hurt somebody on their campus. And so I didn't have nothing to do. And one day my homeboy, how geeked out I was in high school, I was part of the yearbook club, right? But, and that was a funny story why. So my homeboy, he come back to school and he a Marine. And I noticed when the recruiters come, they can pull people out of class. So I want to get out of class. So I'm like, Curry, his name is Curry. So I'm like, Curry, say, man, hey, bro, I don't feel like going to this class, man. I need you to get me out. And he was like, well, I'll take you out, but I'm gonna have to take you to the recruiter. So I'm big, man, I ain't finna do nothing. And so I go up there and talk to the recruiter and I'm like, I'm gonna see what's what. Then I talk to the Army, and what made me choose the Marine Corps, the Army recruiter, we made an appointment and they missed it. It was like, they didn't call me or nothing. I was like, I'm not trying to go nowhere like that.
Yeah. And
then an old friend of mine, I met her. She was a Marine at her grandmother's wedding and she didn't cry. And I asked her, why you didn't cry? And she said, Marines don't cry. And I was like, that's what I want in my life.
Okay. Okay.
So that's the real deal. A lot of people don't really know, like, that's how I ended up joining the Marine Corps, because they don't cry.
And because they don't cry. You joined the Marine Corps because they don't cry.
And I got out of class.
And you got out of class. Like, yo, I can't not acknowledge do you still feel like the not crying part? Do you still feel that in your heart? Like say more about that, because I'm stuck on you definitely need to show those emotions.
Man, I'm a crybaby, E. Hey, look. Matter of fact, whoever listening to this, if y'all know me, I'm mad at y'all for not telling me about All American, the show on Netflix. Because from season 2 to the last episode, I think I cried just about every episode. You hear me?
Love to hear it. I love to hear it. All right, talk about that.
So back then you got to think I'm 18 and I'm still thick in the gang life, because now I'm the leader. Honestly, because I just took it from Beaumont, Texas, and took it down to Louisiana. They didn't know nothing about gangs, and I'm showing them the infrastructure. And so it's still a part of me. And gangsters don't cry. Mm-hmm. And everything I knew about being a man, you suck it up. And so I was like, yo, if that's going to help, hell yeah.
Yeah.
So that's how it was. And crime was a sign of weakness back then. Now, shit, I don't care where I'm at. If it hit my emotions, I'm not going to turn the volume down on that, because that's my emotions is the world universe's way of telling me that I need to pay attention in the moment. Maybe to what's going on, but for sure I need to see what's happening with me when I feel that emotion.
Absolutely. I love that. That's going to be one of your quotes when I do this, because that was phenomenal. Okay, so you were in the Marines and got kicked out of the Marines. Let's go there. What happened, Ced?
Man, my mama used to say I was too smart for my own good. That's really what it was. So, you're a vet, you really couldn't have a gang life. So I had to suppress that a little bit, or just really just find a way to hide it. But it was ways to let people know you was affiliated. But what ultimately got me kicked out, man, is I progressed through the rank really, really fast. Because I came out of boot camp at E3, like already 2 ranks above, and a couple of months later, boom, I pick up E4. I'm just flying through the ranks. And what ended up happening is I got the job of a lifetime. I became the general's driver, who was the general of Mar 4 Pack, the whole West Coast of the Marine Corps, like from Japan down, like all the way over all of this. I'm basically his personal bodyguard. When he got to go somewhere, that's me. If he get in trouble, protect the general, get the general out of there by any means necessary, protect whatever documents y'all got by any means necessary. And one day, it was a Friday, I get sick, I get relieved, because you have you the driver, then you have a backup. Backup, step in, the captain sent me home, but then my stomach not hurting. It was a Friday. Later on that night, I feel good. Man, I hadn't been able to drink at this point in almost a year, because I'm on 24-hour duty, so I can't drink. But now I got a day off. I'm finna be a Marine. I'm drinking, like, let go. But I'm still hanging with my lower enlisted friends, which is a no-no. So I'm breaking the rules. But in the Marine Corps, we respect that rank no matter what. And you gonna respect my rank. And we out in town, they acting a fool, but I'm drunk. And I get emotional. And I have anger issues. So one of my, and it was like, we was cool. We was all in the same clique. He get to talking, bumping his gums, whatever. I get upset. And I remember telling him, I was like, man, if you don't shut your mouth, man, you're going to end up doing a couple of weeks in tripler. Shut your mouth, Lance Corporal. And he disrespected my rank. The next thing I know, I hit him, and then, you do what Marines do. And then he ended up in the hospital for a couple of weeks, and it just snowballed from that. Man, before you know it, I'm sitting at home. Now I'm spiraling out.
Damn. Okay. So like I said, we've known each other for a while. My situation, how you got kicked out. I just got up and left one day, which is, it's not like it's not funny, right? So neither one of our stories is funny, but you gotta laugh to avoid. Sometimes I laugh because to this day, that's not something I talk about on a regular, right? Yeah. So it's wild to think about, what happened with you in the Marines, what happened with me in the Army, and how through the world and the universe conspiring, we somehow find each other.
Right.
And we're able to relate and connect on a higher level than some people, just for the simple fact that, we served and we're vets, but we also did not have the best experience.
Right.
So it's like, it's wild. All right, so you're home, you're spiraling. What do you do when you get home?
I try to, because I try to do the right thing, but in the back of my mind, it's always, man, who's gonna hire you? You got kicked out of the military, out of the Marine Corps, and I just like, dog, we think we the best,
yeah,
top notch. And so, and I gotta write it on the application. I can't lie. So I just went for stuff that I knew I was gonna get just based on the fact that they saw that. Oh, I can go to Chili's and work in the kitchen. You know, I can go to Cracker Barrel and be a dish boy. You know, and I'm gonna find my way. It was just day to day, just man, not just going through the motions, just going through the motions with a hope, just hoping, man. I hope one day it get better. And that's kind of where I was at for years. And then, you know, like pride kicked in, because it's like, yo, man, you know, like I'm used to staying fly, and I can't necessarily do what I want to do, making, you know, it was like $6 some back then.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, okay, I'm not going, but something finna have to give.
Yeah.
And I remember getting fired. Got fired because I got angry, because I kicked down the door of the manager and I quit. Well, it was like I quit fired. You know what I'm saying? I knew I was gonna get fired. Yeah. Like I knew when I kicked that door in, I was leaving, but I knew they weren't gonna let me come back in. Right? So it was a quit fire. But then the crazy thing about that is Mr. Bill, man, don't care what you got going on.
Nope.
At first, finna roll around. And
money
like,
on time.
Man, I can't go back to mama. Well, you got your last check. It ain't enough to cover the rent. Well, let's use the skills you know you got to pay the bills. We finna invest. I'm finna invest in myself. Not the right way back then. Hey, man, this all I got. Sell me some dope and I'm finna flip it and that's how I ended up back in the dope game for some years.
I was about to say now, all right, you find yourself back selling drugs. How long were you selling drugs?
Oh, Lord. Honestly, till about I was 28, 29.
Wow.
And that had happened, that was in 2001. And so I went, it was about 7, 8 years, maybe even 9, close to 9 years.
And all right, so this is a question I've always wanted to ask. Like, was there ever a moment, a point where you could have got out and would have been good with what you had?
When I look back, yeah. But when you are in that moment and you're used to making a certain amount, because your goal is lofty. Because now you have a large influx of cash coming in. And it may, you know, and let's just say I now have $10,000 saved up. Now, talking to Sid, now 10 racks, I'm good. I can change a generation. Yeah. With 10 racks. But back then it's like, yo, I need like $500,000. 10 can't get me there. And you know, you're sitting on 100 racks, 200 racks. You know, in retrospect, yeah, man, you would be straight on $250,000. But back then, I'll be straight up. I touched that. That wasn't enough. It wasn't enough. It wasn't enough.
All right. So when did you get out of selling drugs, and when did you decide that second time was the last time and you really needed to make that adjustment, make that change?
It was 2000. What was that? 2007. I want to say it was like 2006, 2007. On a fluke, I ended up having my house raided, and it was the biggest drug bust in Williamson County that year. It was in like March. That was because my brother had got out of prison, and 2 weeks after he got out, it was gonna be like his birthday, and I was supposed to go down there, and then I got arrested, like almost 2 weeks to the day of his 18th of his birthday.
Wow.
And And so I'm fighting this. And now this is the crazy thing, man, like how God worked, because I had some large, I had some cash stashed away. And I had some ride or dies that I knew I can count on to go get it to the people that I needed to. But they started out with 50 years. And I'm like, yo, I ain't gonna be able to do this with no public boy. We got to go in the bag. And so I ended up, when I got out, I think I only had like $5,000 after, and I had like close, well, I wouldn't say close, but I had over 6 figures, almost mid 6 figures. And that's what I paid out to a team of lawyers. But I remember when we finally got it down, I can remember the day before, I was like, Lord, if you get me out of this, man, I swear I would never sell another drug. It'll be hard for me to sell a Tylenol, Lord. Like, just get me out of this.
Yeah.
And it ended up only being 4 years deferred adjudication.
Wow.
Because it was just the way how the bus went down. Like, it was just crazy. So basically now I have no felony on my record because I did the 4 years clean. And so it's like I have no felonies, no nothing on my record.
That's crazy.
Yep.
That's wild. Now, while you were waiting, and were you free or were you in county or?
Nah, they didn't give me no bail. I ain't even have a bail. They were like, no, sir.
Like, no, you gonna sit your ass right here.
Cause they considered me a flight risk.
Yeah.
They knew, like it was. They knew I had the means. I wasn't gonna run, but to them, they looked at it like, you a baby kingpin. You got the money to go buy a plane ticket right now if you want to. We ain't letting you out, and they ain't letting me out.
Wow. How long did it take? How long was that process?
It was a little over a year and some change.
And
I was just sitting in jail, like not prison, but I was sitting in jail. You have court date, reset, and y'all might go, and then they make this offer, and a couple months they come back counter. So yeah. Gotcha.
All right. So you did your little piece of time. You got out, like on that's one of the craziest stories that I've heard, because that's wild, because you literally just said they started with 50 years. 50 years. And got it down to what they got it down to, which is phenomenal. That's crazy. That was
didn't rat on nobody.
It
was my fault. I did it.
Yeah. Look at you taking accountability. Like, love it. All right. So you do your time, you get out. Now it's time. Now you're like, I'm not going to sell a Tylenol. What is the next step? What is the next step in your journey, in your story?
So then, it's some years that went by. Now I got a double ding. Now I got this probation thing on here, but I'm gonna just give me a little low gig, right? And it just started working out, because now I ended up working at a battery store and was coming across different types of people. You know what I'm saying? I remember the first time this dude came in and gave me a black card. I thought I ain't know nothing about no black card, and I thought it was fake. I'm like, sir, I need a credit card. He was like, it is a credit card. They metal.
Yeah.
I'm using plastic, sir. So it's that kind of clientele. So I started like looking, I was not really looking down on them, but just making them human. Like, yo, they ain't no different than me, man. He ain't like, they not nobody.
Yeah.
They just like me. They breath stink in the morning, just like mine. So I mean, but that's how I'm, humanizing them. And so I'm like, absolutely. I could do that. I know I could do that. Like, dude, you graduated the top of your class. Like, bro, you excelled. Yeah, you got kicked out, but look how fast you moved up the rank. And so I feel like that battery store is what kind of snapped that snapped me back into reality to start paying attention.
Okay.
Because then it's like, okay, I want to become a manager here. I know I can at least become a manager here. I'm making more, and now I'm playing and doing my thing. And then I finish out probation, and then it was it was time for me to grow. You know, we just started having shifts at the store, and then this hotel company, a call center, working from home, and I was like, yo, that'd be dope, working from the crib. I ain't think it was gonna be how it was. You still attached to something. I'm just like, at home, work, cool, all right. And went in and got that job, and that was one of the best paying jobs I had at that point in my real life, outside the military. And then it opened, I'm looking and I'm like 20 years, 30 years. Everybody had all of this time. And I was like, this is where I need to be. Because if all this many people done been here this long, this is a good company. And so it was a dude that looked like me. And he was one of the only brothers in the higher echelon. And I was like, yo, that's dope. And I remember just watching them like, okay. And that was just kind of a journey, man, on the corporate front. And I remember going for, it was like a supervisor position. I told my mama about it. I was like, man, these people, I want to go for it, but they're not going to do nothing. She was like, boy, stop that. She was like, it's been a long time. Them people just going to see you been in the military. Don't worry about it. She said, here's what you do. She asked me when it was going to be, and it was like some months away when they was going to start doing the interviews. And she said, until that interview, I want you to go in there and act like you got the job already. She said, act as if. And I was like, act as if? She was like, yeah, act as if you got the job already. Dress like them, act like them. You probably can't write nobody up, but make the decision, like how. And so that's what I went in and did. Then I just started telling that same guy, Otis, I was like, hey, man, you ready to move up? You ready to move up? Every day I walk around, because he would speak to people, and I would come in early just to walk around. Hey, man, how y'all doing? Hey, how y'all doing? How y'all doing? How y'all doing? Shaking hands. Hey, man, you ready to move up today? All right, cool. And then, boom, got the job. Then another management position, boom. And then I was in Wichita, and then opening up a center out there. And then that's when the heart attack thing came.
All right, we're talking about, okay, so you were working at the hotels. You legit had a heart attack.
Well, it was worse than that. So I'm at work. They think I'm slurring. My partner asked me if I've been drinking. I'm like, no. And so, but I had a bad headache, but I had migraines before. And I'm thinking, man, it's a one-off migraine, all the classic signs. But I'm like, man, I'm gonna just go to the hospital just to appease everybody, because they kept getting on my nerves, really.
Yeah.
And so I was like, man, I'm finna leave, because they gonna piss me off. Y'all gonna make me mad.
Don't get mad. That's why I said don't get mad.
You know what I'm saying? Like I got issues with that. So, but I would just close myself in my office. That's all I would have did. Lock the door, turn the light off. He gone. Don't bother me. But I'm like, man, I'm finna go to the house. But I lived the hospital was one exit before mine. It was midday. And I'm like, you know what, man? I'm gonna just go swing in there. Ain't nobody gonna be in the ER right now. You're gonna be in and out, dog. Hour and a half tops. Boom, you good. So I swing in that bad boy. And now, mind you, the whole time, I ain't gonna lie, my head banging. I'm not feeling good. I'm really not. But that that other kind of masculinity, I'm good. I'm gonna just go home, sleep it. I was literally, that's what I told me. I'm gonna sleep it off, man. Play some 2K, be straight. Man, I go in there, them people telling me I'm having a stroke. I was like 220 over something. And they asking me how I got there. I'm like, I drove. And they was like, sir, it's no way possible you drove. I'm like, ma'am, I just drove. That Mustang out there, I drove. Leave me alone. And they like, sir, you're having a stroke right now. And so they do the CT scan, and they was like, yeah, you got an aneurysm on your aorta, and right now it's on the verge of rupturing.
Wow.
And if it ruptures, you have a 98% chance of not even making it to the OR.
Hey, y'all. Listen, it is time for some action. If you are enjoying the content that you've been listening to, I need you to rate and review. That's it. That's all. Make sure you go to wherever you're listening to this podcast and rate and review it for us. We appreciate you so much. Let's get back to some resilience.
And within, it was about 18 hours later, I was back in Houston getting chopped up. That was May 22nd, 8 years ago.
Wow. Wow. So that anniversary just passed like a couple months ago.
Yeah, a couple weeks. Yeah.
Gotcha. Crazy. So, all right. So you had to have surgery. How long was your recovery?
Man, I went in May 22nd. I got out, it was July 1st. Matter of fact, today the anniversary.
Wow.
Because, man, like they cut me from my belly button all the way up to underneath, like my pec, and all the way around to like almost the center of my back. And then there was another small incision down at the bottom. Like I had to learn how to walk and all of that.
That was my next question. Like, did you have to relearn your motor skills?
Oh, for sure. And man, that was the worst pain ever. I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. But it was the best thing ever for me.
Yeah.
People like, man, how can you say that? I was like, man, just the way God designed me for that test. And some people, he prepare you in your life all the way up into your test to take the test. And you find out if you pass the test by how you react after.
Yeah.
Because you might have to go back and retake or get a tutor.
Yeah.
Sometimes, and that's what he was doing with me, because I had tests. Okay, man, I'm gonna give you the Marine Corps. I failed it. I had to go back and retake. You know what I'm saying? And then boom, like I got arrested. Okay, man, you still not learning? And like, all right, because I had learned, okay, all of that part, but I was still partying hard. Doing all that. Man, say, bro, you still not getting the picture. Okay. Boom. And so I finally passed the test. And that's why I say, man, that was the best thing ever.
Gotcha. All right. So you get your surgery, you're recovered, you're healed. Where are you now in your journey?
I mean, I'm still at the hotel company. And now I done picked up my life from Austin, moved to Wichita, and now I'm back there. And then a month and a half later, I'm still on the walker. I get fired.
What'd you get fired for?
So while I was in my recovery, I had forgotten to pay one of the corporate credit card bills from months before. And company policy is like when they say zero tolerance on being late for managers and above on a credit card bill, we gotta let you go. They don't care. Like you broke the rule. And it was just one of them more crazy technicalities, you know what I'm saying? And then from that, man, that's how I ended up homeless.
So you've been homeless too.
Say, man. Hey,
you've lived.
I be telling people, man, I got one of the craziest stories ever, man. This junk could be a movie, man.
All right, so you lose your job.
I'm on the walker.
On the walker, like literally still using, and then you end up homeless?
It was so like how that happened. I still had a couple of months on my Wichita spot, and I'm trying to find little gigs here and there. And nothing's shaking up out there. And so I tell my mama, like, hey, I just need to come chill for a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Get my head right. It'd probably be like for a couple of weeks, a month, but nothing's shaking out there, when I go back to Beaumont. So I'm ready to move around, but I really just started sleeping in my car at this point. And then I ended up going to get my CDL. Because I'm like, man, because that was the most logical thing. I was like, I need somewhere to live. Oh, you can sleep in your truck and you can get paid. Cool, I ain't got no rent or nothing. So that's how I ended up getting my CDL, started driving trucks. Now I'm not paying rent. I was able to stack bread a little bit. And but the company was robbing us. And then I ended up working with some, today's word would be Romanians.
Okay.
because I just found out that you're not supposed to say gypsy. That's like a racial slur. I didn't know that. So yeah, I ended up working for some Romanians, which was I jumped from the pan to the fire. And I was like, yo, this cannot be my
Yeah.
life. Like, yo, like what's wrong with me? And then around that time, that's when I put that metal in my mouth, at that point. Cause to me, nothing was working.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I'm trying, and I done tried everything I can possibly try, man. And now I'm working with these people like that's literally treating me like a slave. You know what I'm saying? They only giving me $150 a day. They paying for somewhere to stay, but they talking to you bad.
Yeah.
Like super bad, threatening to fire you. And I was like, man, it's not gonna get no better than this. So I'm finna go ahead and just end it.
Mm-hmm.
But the gun ain't work.
On purpose.
Another one. You know what I'm saying? Like, all right. Well, you would have failed that test, but this was a practice test.
Uh-huh.
All right. Okay. Here we go. And so now I get another chance. And then I take my savings, invest that. Long story short, I invest that into health coaching, life coaching.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's kind of when all of this speaking thing come into play. And it's just been a beautiful morph, since then.
Yes.
Since then. But that tasting that metal though, man, that was almost like the final wake-up call. You got this pillar, and you got that pillar, and this pillar, you got different pillars. Some of us, we don't need that many. Some do, some don't. But that was like, man, when you having suicidal ideations and you actually try to go through with it and you live, it's sad, but then the realization of it all too, like, yo, okay, you really, really, because I had got what was going on after the surgery. It was just, it didn't feel like it was that serious after, because I'm like, I feel normal, but I didn't feel normal after that, because I was like, man, in my mind, normal people don't try to take their own life.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I was like, yo, something not necessarily clicking the right way, but at the end of the day, I control this.
Mm-hmm.
Like I put that thing in my hand. I put my finger on that trigger. Like I did that. I got myself in all of these situations like nobody else. Like you really see you in every problem that ever got you to that point. You see it. And in that moment, you already feeling the worst pain you can feel. So when you see it, it don't hurt as much. So you get to just see it for what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Like with no emotional attachment. And it's like, okay, it ain't the world. It ain't God. It's me.
Gotcha.
That was the game changer.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. How are you mentally now? Do you still suffer from those type of thoughts? Those type of
what? Man.
Like I'm asking you because I also I didn't try to shoot myself, but I also tried like a few times, and every single time it didn't work. And I'm asking, I want to let you answer before I tell you what I'm thinking.
Yeah. It's I ain't talked to everybody, but I think anybody that have those thoughts, they don't never go away. Cause you're gonna always, not always, but at some point you're probably gonna travel back and visit that moment and all of that. And then sometimes it's like life get hard now, and I still have them. But I think the work that I do now and where I'm at in just that personal growth is longer spans.
Yeah. Oh my God, Cedric.
What's up?
You literally took everything that I've been saying, thinking since I decided to take that turn. Like you literally just said my answer. Like that's why I wanted you to answer first, because I didn't want to give you any inkling, any nudge, but and this is a real life conversation that I've had with my wife, and she's like, what is it? And I'm like, I can't pinpoint it, but I know for me that those thoughts to this day, depending on my mood, depending on what's going on, those thoughts don't ever leave you. And I feel like if you got to a point where you actually attempted and did not succeed, that it's a stronger pull on your resilience. And like you said, what you do now and the work you're doing, those spans where you have those thoughts are more spread out. Like you just said everything that I was thinking. Like I knew we always had like a lot in common, just because but the fact that someone else, literally like someone else who not only thought about it but actually attempted, because I think there's a small difference between somebody who's like thinking about it and then someone who's actually attempted, and for you to say like the work that you do now, like I feel like I found a reason to not really to have those thoughts, but to now I have a stronger foundation and something more solid to stand on, so that those thoughts don't consume me.
Right.
Because they
that's exactly it. That's exactly it. And then at some point, like me now, I'm really getting back into like deep trauma work. And because I'll be remiss if I didn't say it's possible for you not to even have those thoughts. And this is like me just kind of geeking out a little bit. When I think about how the brain is, it's really just all based on our memories and coping mechanisms, if you will. Because our memory, like the memory is just associations, just bits and pieces. Like you don't remember who was driving, what color car was it, that person that was next to you, but you could probably remember going down the highway. So it's just bits and pieces. So it's not a full picture. And so now it's just going back, doing the work to actually be able to sit in that moment emotionless and view it, and then just doing some deeper inner work to release it.
I like to call that heart work.
Yes.
I like to call like it's hard work to do it, but that I like to call it heart work, because that's where the challenge is doing that inner work, because we have, I guess, as human beings, we have the ability to always highlight everyone else and their flaws and their opportunities. But when we hold up that mirror, we don't ever like to sit and stand and acknowledge what is reflecting back to us.
Man, for sure. Because we bullies.
Bullies. We're bullies to the world, and we're bullies to the world because we're bullies to ourselves first.
That we the biggest people that haven't been bullied, you have, by the biggest, baddest one ever walking this planet. And it's up here and it's quiet too. Never lay a hand on you. And
never
will bully you, will call you the worst things possible. But you can slay that giant. You could slay it. Yeah, with words, man. Like that's why I just be preaching about words now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because that's what's gonna spread the gap. Because it's subconscious and it's habitual. Just like driving, like when we first got in the car, man, you literally had to think and concentrate on keeping that machine straight. Like, oh my God, get on the highway. Oh, right. Now you texting,
Eating a burger. Let's
man, I'd be
go.
driving with your leg, foot up, talking to the kid. You know what I'm saying? You don't
Uh-huh.
even think about it because it's habitual.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I'm really getting back to understand. You know, I kind of gotten away from that, being so far from the basics of life coaching and all of that. It's like, yo, okay, yeah, you done went deep, but as long as you're alive, the longer you live, how can I say this? How it's in my head? The deep hole moves on a continuum with you as you get older. It doesn't go anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And no matter where you're at, that hole can get deeper, you know, as you move. And it's like the work's never done.
Mm-mm.
It's just dig deep, because the way the human mind works is if it's new, like this muscle up here, this little flexible thing inside your skull, its main objective is safety, point blank, period. Well, and it has two other ones, like to procreate and to protect,
Mm-hmm.
right? But as long as it's for safety, anything new, it's like, this is hard, this is and then we go into that thing. So now it's like, dig deep, why? Dig deep, why?
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah. All right. We take all of that and move into the work you do in fear. And I see your shirt says fearless. So let's go there. You said, what did it say? Is fearless? It's a vibe. Let's go. Let's go. Like, all right, let's go there. The work you do in fear. Because when I first started, I did a lot of work. That's why I had fight to flight, you know, fighting that natural urge to run when things are uncomfortable or scary. So let's talk about your fearless.
It almost needs a slash in it or a space. The way I see it, it's really fearless.
All right, fear dash less. I got you covered.
Yeah. And like, man, I always say fearless is not the absence of fear.
Mm-hmm.
As long as you breathing, you will probably feel fear if you halfway trying. What I found though is the goal is to do it afraid.
Do it anyway.
Just do it afraid.
Yep.
Jump out the plane. You're gonna be scared. Worse, because man, what ends up happening is our brain is gonna latch on to not necessarily the worst possible outcome. We'll probably bring it back 2 or 3 dials, because we all know the worst possible outcome is I try something and I can die, right? Mm-hmm. That's the worst possible one. But if it's, oh, what would they say? We're going to think that they're going to say the worst thing, because we know what hurts us. Mm-hmm. And that's the thing we're going to think people are going to say, oh, they're going to say this thing that hurts me, so I'm not going to do it because it's safe to not feel hurt, right? But it's every time you do it afraid, it's almost like you put on a piece of armor around that hurt, around that judgment, around whatever it is, because fear is just the top level of it. Mm-hmm. We just say, oh, I'm scared. But when we dig deep, mm-hmm, and we put a name to it, and that's why I talk about words so much. You got to name it. Its power is life and death. I can kill a fear or give an overpowering emotion power by claiming it, mm-hmm, which we call the funny word manifest it. I can manifest that through what I say. I said I was going to write a book. I did that. It's a number one. Now, all of the stuff that came with it, I didn't know. But I used to say, man, I'll never be an author. And guess what happened? I never wrote a book.
Never was an author. Yep.
Never. Yep. But once I started saying it, before you knew it, I was meeting this author. oh, this is an author coach. You help people. Then now I'm able to ask questions, and boom, now you got another one. Next week, second one coming out. You know, like, what? I'm a dude from the hood. I'm just a dude, right? I said that in the beginning, and I'm like, yo, when I really think about it, the only reason I got a book is because I started saying I was gonna write a book.
Yeah, you gotta, I feel like you speak that, once you speak it into existence, you give it life. Like you said, your words. Acknowledgement is the first A in my fight the flight method, is acknowledging. Acknowledge what the issue is. Acknowledge, speak it, write it, type it, however you do it. Acknowledgement, acknowledging what it is, then you go from there. But speaking it, you cannot address anything if you don't even acknowledge it's there in the first place.
Right.
Very difficult to do that. Like,
for real. Like, it's almost like a baby running into the, like, I use an analogy. A baby come in right now. If we was in the room crying, right? It wouldn't make sense for us to just, as soon as the baby come in, we go run off, grab the first aid kit, and grab some peroxide and pour it on their knee.
It's not even cut.
Well, no, here's the thing. Well, we wouldn't even ascertain that until we got to the knee, right? But it's some things we got to do to fix that problem. We have to start asking some questions and analyze the situation. Like, you have to analyze, like, well, what's going on? Okay, analyze it. All right, now once I diagnose the problem, okay, hey, I can see it's the knee, or, oh, you're hungry. Here's food. But the whole time I'm saying stuff, and even if I'm not saying it, I gotta think it. And that's a word in itself.
Thoughts are powerful too.
Yeah, because if I tell you, hey, don't think about a spotted elephant,
guess what you're thinking about?
Yeah, you cannot. Words, man, my homeboy Stan Pearson said it best. Words are undefeated. They undefeated. That spotted elephant is undefeated.
Yep. Damn sure is.
It's crazy.
Perfect. All right, so we go from the gang life to selling drugs, to the Marines, to getting kicked out of the Marines, to trying to get your footing, to ended up being back in a drug game, doing that for a while, getting busted, doing a little bit of time, getting out, not even trying to sell Tylenol, right? Not even trying to sell Tylenol. Find an amazing job that you love. You pour your all into it. You end up having a stroke, having to have open heart surgery, I'm guessing. Open body. They cut you open. It don't matter where it was. They cut you open, right? So you got to go through that healing process just to turn around and get fired from that job that you love so much, like to end up homeless and wanting to end it to where you are today.
Yeah.
What got you there?
My mom and them say a whole lot of people always prayed for me. Because if I say how it really go in my head, we'll probably be on here for about 2-3 hours, me trying to explain that whole concept of but no, I'll say it like this, man. My higher power, I mean, that's the simple answer, because at the end of the day, outside of the universe, we're powerless. We just now, once we connect with it, then we can see the things,
Yeah.
But the universe placed me in situations that actually just woke me up. And once I was awake, I just wanted more. And that equals, wanting more equals 3 letters for me always. And that's how I look at it now. And that's WHY. It's forever going to be deep. And I also understand that it can be forever changing. Because the same reason I got my coaching certifications is not the same reason I do it now. Because it started out with health. I just wanted people to have healthier hearts.
Yeah.
Because that was something I lived through, and that was my thing. But now as I progressed, I realized I'm a empathetic helper. That's what I was placed here to do. And that was the purpose of my journey, was to accumulate a powerful story to be able to take it back to first young people and then other people of the world.
Yeah.
And that's where my why is now. That's why in my mind right now, man, I just show up as the dude. I'm just the dude that show up as the dude I ain't have.
Yeah.
That's my why, you know?
That's so, and it's so simple. It's simple and not. Like it's simple. It's simple because it's just a couple words, but those couple words mean so much. Those couple words mean so much.
But it's funny.
It's true. It's true. Those couple words mean so much. Said, where can we find you on social media?
Man, y'all, really LinkedIn. Y'all can find me on all of them. I'm not on the Bird one, and I'm sounding so old right now, man.
Y'all, he means Twitter. Y'all, he means Twitter.
I'm not on Twitter. I'm too loquacious for Twitter. I have way too many words for 150 unless they done changed that. I can't do 150. But Instagram, y'all can find me under Cedric Edison. Facebook, Cedric Edison. The Said Speaks. You type that in anywhere, that's gonna pull me up. You type in Cedric Edison anywhere, it's gonna pull me up. Google, Yahoo, maybe even Hotmail. I don't know, but everything is under Cedric Edison.
Hotmail. You took it back.
I gotta be silly, man. That's
took it back. You took it back.
I tried to find my MySpace and see if I could change there, but I don't think MySpace even worked.
It's not even around anymore. Last time I did, I found my MySpace. It was like probably like 7-8 years ago, and I was like, it was like jumping in, like opening a time capsule. Yeah, because it stopped right where you were at that moment. Like, wow, I am definitely not the person that I used to be. Thank goodness.
Man, for real.
Goodness. You have anything else you want to share with the people?
Man, the one thing that's on my mind right now is, and I'm always talking about it though, is tea. And Erin, you probably have heard this before. It's not tea that you drink or anything like that. That's an acronym, and it's thinking, emotions, and actions. And just thinking, our words really become our beliefs, which are thoughts. And the way we think is going to control the way we feel. Mm-hmm. And however we feel and will control how you show up in the world. And however you showing up day in and day out is what controls your destiny. So make sure you when you pop in that old Kermit meme, when you sipping the tea, make sure you mind your tea. And a quote to keep that in mind is focus on you, not me. Focus on you, not me.
Love it. Focus on you. You got you have t-shirts, don't you, that say that?
Yeah, man.
They're available on your website, correct?
Yeah. Man, I ain't even put that blurb in there.
Say less.
You had appreciate you, man. We got the gear like Fearless, it's a vibe. Focus on you. We got different styles of that. And you can actually find that at LYST as in Tom 354.com. So that's list with a Y, 354.com. And man, we got all kind of quotes. As they come, I send them off to the people and they put them on the shirt. Fearless is a vibe. You name it. They up there.
Love it. Love it. And where, another senseless plug, where can we get your book?
Oh, this everything, like all products, like right now you can say it speaks. I do have it in the clothing store, just as an add-on. But the next one, it don't launch until next week on the 9th.
Gotcha.
On the 9th. I get all that stuff to you. I don't know when it's gonna be up. And if y'all haven't, if it's not up until after the 9th and you're hearing this, then you can just catch it at Said Speaks. And that the new one is Articles of Life, a collection of lessons learned.
Love that.
Yeah, we done
That's gonna be
some
good.
stuff in there, y'all.
That's gonna be good. Awesome. All right, Cedric Edison. What does resilience mean to you?
Resilience. What does resilience mean to me? And this is just coming off the dome, y'all. I knew the question was coming, but I didn't know the question was coming. Oh, man, resilience to me, simple words, man. Putting one foot in front of the other one and one hand up above the other one, no matter what.
Keep climbing.
That's resilience to me.
Keep climbing.
You know, because you could take, if you just take that note, and I mean it literally, no matter what, take a step. I should have wrote no excuses, because that's what's in my head right now. Is there are no excuses. Don't accept it. And two things. Don't ever answer a why with I can't or I don't know how. As long as you don't say those, and just keep going. That's resilience.
Love it. Love it. That's actually that's resilience in action.
Yeah, for real.
Yo, like I really, really love to ask that question, because no matter the answer, it's always in action. And that is a wonderful way to wrap up this podcast. Said, you've been amazing, bro. Thank you so very, very, very much for hanging out with us. I know, like, we've been like boop, 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 trying to get with each other, and we finally did it. And I can't thank you enough for spending some time with us, man.
Man, I appreciate you having me in your world, man. It's pretty dope. You know what you got going on over there, man. It really is. Podcast growing, and I know how people hold their tribe. You know, it's like holding your cards close to your chest, and it's always an honor, man, when somebody, you know, want to introduce me to their people. I don't take that light. So thank you for trusting me to come and speak a few words in front of your people.
Absolutely. I know you had an amazing story, and someone somewhere is going to listen to it, and you're going to help them get through what it is. So thank you.
Nah, man, my pleasure. That's the only hope. I hope wherever it land, again, I'm just showing up as the dude.
Love it. Showing up as the dude. Thank you for listening to this week's episode of Resilience in Action with Erin Brown. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to rate, review, and subscribe. And I want you to remember one thing: resilience in action will always lead to a greater human experience.